In a world full of surface-level stories, we go deeper. Welcome to The Depth, your destination for facts, science, history, and mysteries that shape our world. Let's begin the journey, deeper than ever before. Your heart. You know it pumps blood, right? But did you know that every single beat sends a pressure wave, a pulse, through your arteries? And this wave travels faster than the blood itself. It's like a silent shock wave that precedes the flow of life, a rhythmic, invisible messenger that your body sends but never actually hears. It's a constant, powerful force that you carry within you every second of every day. Isn't that incredible? Now, look around you. Maybe there's a window nearby, or you're holding your phone. You're looking at glass. We think of it as a solid, right? It's hard, it's stable. But scientifically, glass isn't a true solid. It's what's known as an amorphous solid, which means its atoms don't have a rigid, ordered structure like a crystal. It's more like a superviscous liquid that has been frozen in time. In fact, over hundreds or even thousands of years, the glass in old cathedral windows has been observed to flow downwards, ever so slightly, making it thicker at the bottom than at the top. It's a frozen river, moving at a pace so slow we can't perceive it in our lifetime. Speaking of things that defy our categories, let's talk about mushrooms. When you see a mushroom, you probably group it with plants. They grow from the ground. They don't move. Seems logical. But biologically, you have more in common with that mushroom on your pizza than the lettuce in your salad. Genetically, fungi, the kingdom that includes mushrooms, are more closely related to animals than they are to plants. We share a more recent common ancestor. So next time you see a mushroom, give it a little nod of respect. You're looking at a distant relative. Let's move from the outside world to the one inside your head. Your brain is a masterpiece of engineering, and one of its most amazing tricks is predicting the future. No, you're not a psychic, but your brain is constantly making tiny predictions, just milliseconds into the future. When you move your head, the world doesn't blur into a chaotic mess. Why? Because your brain anticipates the movement and stabilizes the image you perceive. It's essentially guessing where your eyes will be and what they will see an instant from now, filling in the gaps to create a smooth, continuous visual experience. Your perception of the present is actually a construction, based on a constant stream of micro-predictions about the immediate future. You're living in a reality that your own brain is helping to create, moment by moment. Okay, from the brain to the water. We all know the phrase, like a fish out of water. It means you're in a situation where you can't survive. But what if I told you that a fish can actually drown in water? It sounds impossible, but it's true. Fish don't breathe water. They extract dissolved oxygen from it using their gills. If the water becomes deoxygenated, let's say due to pollution or algae blooms that use up all the oxygen, the fish's gills can't find anything to breathe. They are surrounded by water, their natural environment, yet they are suffocating. It's a chilling reminder of how delicate the balance of any ecosystem truly is. Now, for a fact that feels like it's straight out of a fantasy novel. You glow in the dark. Yes, you. The human body emits its own light through a process called bioluminescence. It's incredibly faint, about 1,000 times less intense than what our naked eyes can detect. But it's there. Highly sensitive cameras have captured it. This glow isn't steady either. It fluctuates throughout the day. Interestingly, we glow the least in the morning and the most in the late afternoon. Your face actually glows brighter than the rest of your body. So, you are literally a source of light, a faint, walking lantern. Let's talk about silence. Have you ever been in a completely quiet room and thought you could hear the silence? It might feel like a faint ringing or a low hum. Well, you're not actually hearing silence. What you're experiencing is your brain's interpretation of the absence of external sound. When there are no outside noises to process, your brain starts to focus on its own internal signals, the sound of blood flow, the firing of neurons in your auditory cortex. Your brain essentially creates a placeholder sound to fill the void. So, the sound of silence is actually the sound of your own brain listening to itself. Think immortality is just for stories? Meet the sea sponge. These simple, ancient creatures are, for all practical purposes, biologically immortal. They don't have a finite lifespan. They don't age in the way we do, with cells that degrade over time. Instead, their cells are constantly regenerating. A sea sponge can be torn apart, and if the pieces settle in a suitable place, they can grow into new, complete sponges. They don't die of old age. They only die if they're eaten by a predator or destroyed by disease or environmental damage. They are masters of regeneration, just continuing to exist, generation after generation of cells, without an expiration date. Summer nights often bring the magical sight of fireflies. That enchanting glow is a marvel of efficiency. The light produced by a firefly is what's known as cold light. When we create light, like with an incandescent light bulb, a huge amount of energy is wasted as heat. An old-school light bulb is about 10% efficient at making light and 90% efficient at making heat. A firefly, it's nearly 100% efficient. The chemical reaction in its body converts energy directly into light with almost zero heat loss. If we could replicate that technology, it would completely revolutionize our world. It's perfect natural engineering. I want you to consider the ground beneath your feet. A handful of soil. It seems like just dirt, right? But in a single teaspoon of healthy soil, there are more living organisms than there are people on the entire planet. We're talking billions of bacteria, fungi, protozoa, nematodes, and other microscopic creatures, all living in a complex, bustling ecosystem. More life than all of humanity combined, right there in your hand. It's a universe in miniature, a foundation of life that we walk over every day without a second thought. So, from the silent pulse in your arteries to the frozen flow of glass, the universe of life in a spoonful of soil, and the faint light you yourself emit. Our world is so much stranger and more wonderful than it appears. Have you ever stopped to think about the air you're breathing right now? Take a deep breath with me. In that single inhale, you just took in atoms that have journeyed through the lungs of every single human who has ever lived. Think about it. From ancient philosophers to groundbreaking scientists, from kings and queens to your own great-great-grandparents. A part of them, a literal, physical part, is now a part of you. We are all connected by the very air we breathe, a silent, invisible thread weaving through all of human history. It's a humbling and kind of beautiful thought, isn't it? But the wonders don't stop with the air around us. They live deep within our own bodies. Right now, your bones are talking. No, really. They're whispering to each other in a language of electricity. Every time you walk, run, jump, or even just shift your weight, your skeleton senses the stress and pressure. In response, it generates tiny electrical signals. This isn't just a random quirk. It's a sophisticated communication system that tells your bones where they need to grow stronger and where they can afford to be lighter. Your skeleton is a living, intelligent structure, constantly remodeling itself based on the story you tell it with your movements. It's your body's own internal engineer, working silently to keep you strong. Now, let's leave our own bodies for a moment and look at the masters of aerial acrobatics, dragonflies. Have you ever watched one dart through the air, seemingly at random? It's anything but. A dragonfly is a living supercomputer, a natural-born mathematician. It doesn't just chase its prey, it predicts its future. With incredible precision, a dragonfly calculates the speed and trajectory of a fly or a mosquito and then plots an intercept course. It literally flies to where its meal will be, not where it is. They have a success rate of over 95%, making them one of the most effective predators on the planet. It's like they have a built-in GPS and advanced physics engine running in their tiny heads. Let's switch gears from the heat of the hunt to the biting cold of winter. Imagine you're out on a quiet, frozen lake as the temperature plummets. Suddenly, a sharp cracking sound echoes across the landscape. That sound has a name: frost crack. It happens when water freezes so rapidly that the expansion creates a shock wave, a literal sound wave released by the ice as it's born. It's the sound of a phase change happening at incredible speed, nature's own sonic boom. The next time you hear that eerie crackle on a cold night, you'll know you're not just hearing ice breaking. You're hearing the sound of water transforming, releasing a burst of energy into the silent air. Coming back to ourselves, there's a popular idea that every 7 years, you become a completely new person because all the cells in your body have been replaced. It's a neat concept, but reality is a bit more chaotic and, honestly, more interesting. While it's true that your body is in a constant state of renewal, not all cells are on the same schedule. The cells lining your stomach, for instance, might only last a few days due to the harsh, acidic environment. Your skin cells are replaced every few weeks. But some of your most important cells are with you for the long haul. Most of the neurons in your cerebral cortex, the cells that hold your memories, your personality, your very sense of self, are the same ones you were born with. So, while you're constantly changing, a core part of you, the part that remembers your childhood and learns new things, is a lifelong companion on your journey. Now for a fact that will change the way you look at a beautiful insect forever. Picture a butterfly gently landing on a flower. It looks so delicate, so graceful. But what it's actually doing is tasting. Butterflies taste with their feet. Their legs are covered in chemoreceptors, which are basically tiny taste buds. Every time a butterfly lands on a leaf or a petal, it's taking a sample, checking if it's a good place to lay its eggs or a sweet source of nectar. Imagine walking around and being able to taste everything you stepped on. A walk in the park would be a very different experience. For a butterfly, every landing is a flavor test, a critical moment of decision in its quest for survival and sustenance. Let's dive into the deep ocean to meet a creature that seems almost alien, the horseshoe crab. These ancient mariners who have been around since before the dinosaurs have a secret in their veins. Their blood isn't red like ours, it's a striking, vibrant blue. This is because their blood uses a copper-based compound called hemocyanin to transport oxygen, instead of the iron-based hemoglobin we have. But the truly amazing part is what this blue blood can do. It contains special cells that can detect and trap bacteria with incredible efficiency. This unique property has made horseshoe crab blood invaluable to modern medicine. It's used to test the safety of vaccines, implants, and other medical equipment to ensure they are free from harmful bacterial contamination before they're ever used on humans. These prehistoric creatures are unsung heroes, silently protecting millions of lives every day. Nature can be beautiful, but it can also be terrifyingly strange. There's a particular species of fungus that's the stuff of nightmares, especially if you're an ant. This fungus, known as cordyceps, is a parasite that infects an ant and begins to take over its mind. It grows through the ant's body, leaving the brain intact but controlling its behavior. The fungus compels the infected ant to abandon its colony, climb up the stalk of a plant, and clamp its mandibles onto a leaf in a death grip. Once the ant is in the perfect position for the fungus to spread its spores, it dies. A fungal stalk then erupts from the ant's head, ready to release its spores and begin the cycle anew. It's a chilling example of nature's intricate and sometimes brutal fight for survival, turning a living creature into a puppet. From the macabre to the magnificent, let's talk about something brilliant. We all know diamonds are formed under immense pressure deep within the earth. But did you know they can also be forged by the fury of the sky? In some rare instances, lightning striking a volcano can create the perfect conditions for diamond formation. The intense heat of the lightning bolt and the immense pressure from the volcanic environment act like nature's ultimate pressure cooker. This can transform carbon-rich gases and materials into tiny, raw diamonds. It's an incredible combination of two of nature's most powerful forces, a thunderous sky and a fiery mountain, coming together to create one of the world's most precious gems. We often think of insects as simple, instinct-driven creatures. But bees are surprisingly intelligent. Studies have shown that bees can actually learn to recognize and remember individual human faces. They can associate a particular face with a positive experience, like a source of sugar water, or a negative one, like a threat. They remember kindness, and they remember anger. So when you're gentle with the bees in your yard, they might just recognize you as a friend on their next visit. It's a powerful reminder that even the smallest creatures can possess a level of awareness and intelligence that we are only just beginning to understand. Did you know your ears never stop growing throughout your entire life? It's true, but what's even more fascinating is what's happening deep inside them. Tiny crystals in your inner ear, called otoconia, are responsible for your sense of balance. They shift around as you move, telling your brain which way is up. So, while your outer ears keep getting bigger, it's these microscopic crystals that are keeping you steady on your feet. It's a delicate, invisible dance happening inside your head every single second. Speaking of things you can't see, let's dive into the ocean. We often think of whales as gentle giants, but the ocean is a tough neighborhood. Some whales carry incredible scars on their bodies that look like intricate maps. These aren't just random marks, they're the detailed records of entire shark attacks. You can trace the shark's jawline, the individual teeth marks. These whales are living, swimming monuments to survival, their skin telling a story of a battle they won. It's a powerful, visible reminder of the resilience of life in the deep blue. And resilience isn't just for the big guys. Let's talk about something much, much smaller: bacteria. We hear about the problem of plastic pollution all the time, but nature might have a surprising solution. Scientists have discovered certain types of bacteria that can actually eat plastic. That's right, they chow down on our discarded waste and, through their natural metabolic processes, transform it into simple, harmless substances: water and carbon dioxide. Imagine a future where armies of these tiny microbes help us clean up our planet. It's not science fiction, it's biology at its most brilliant. From the microscopic to the planetary, let's look up at the sky. The power of a thunderstorm is awe-inspiring, but the scale is mind-boggling. On average, lightning strikes our planet 8.6 million times every single day. That's nearly 100 strikes every second. Each one of those bolts is more than just a flash of light. It's a powerful chemical reactor. The intense energy literally rewrites the atoms in the air, creating new molecules. It's a constant, massive, and powerful force shaping our atmosphere in ways we're only just beginning to understand. Let's bring it back down to Earth, to something a bit more familiar: a chicken egg. You might think an egg is just an egg, but there's a secret to making its shell stronger. If you gently rotate an egg while the shell is forming, the calcium carbonate crystals align in a more robust structure. This simple act of turning creates a stronger, more protective home for the chick inside. It is a subtle trick of physics and biology that demonstrates how even small movements can have a big impact on strength and structure. Nature is full of these clever little design hacks. Now, let's talk about something incredibly personal: your tears. Have you ever felt like a good cry can be a release? There's a scientific reason for that. The chemical composition of your tears actually changes depending on what emotion you're feeling. Tears of sadness, for example, contain different stress hormones and have a different salt concentration than tears you cry from chopping an onion. Your tears literally contain traces of your emotional chemistry. It's as if your body is flushing out the very essence of your feelings, one salty drop at a time. This idea of unique personal signatures isn't limited to humans. In the vast ocean, dolphins have a sophisticated way of keeping track of each other. They don't just make random clicks and whistles. They develop unique signature whistles that function just like names. One dolphin will call out its specific whistle, and another will recognize it and can even mimic it to get that individual's attention. They are literally calling each other by name. It is a level of social intelligence and communication that shows just how complex their underwater world really is. And speaking of complex communication, there's a hidden network right under your feet. A forest might look like a collection of individual trees, but it's actually a deeply interconnected community. The roots of trees are linked by a vast underground web of fungi known as a mycorrhizal network. Scientists call it the Wood Wide Web. Through this fungal internet, trees can share nutrients, send water to those in need, and even transmit warning signals about insect attacks or disease. It's a hidden, silent conversation that keeps the entire forest healthy and connected. Our own senses are also more powerful than we realize. Your nose isn't just for smelling flowers or baking bread. It can sense emotions. Studies have shown that the human nose can detect the subtle chemical signals present in the sweat of someone experiencing fear. We can literally smell fear on a subconscious level. This primal ability, likely a holdover from our evolutionary past, influences our own mood and behavior without us even being aware of it. It's a reminder that we are constantly communicating in ways that go far beyond words. Let's take a journey way back in time. Think about the oldest, most ancient trees you can imagine. Giant sequoias, towering redwoods. Now, picture a world before any of them existed. A world without a single tree on land. In that ancient, barren world, the oceans were already teeming with life, including one of its most perfect predators. Sharks existed on Earth before trees ever grew. They have been swimming in our planet's oceans for over 400 million years, surviving mass extinctions and outlasting countless other species. They are true living fossils, a testament to an ancient and enduring design that has stood the test of deep time. Did you know your body holds a secret, cosmic-sized measuring tape? It's true. If you unraveled all the DNA from all the cells in your body, it would stretch from the sun all the way to Pluto and back. Not just once, but a mind-boggling 17 times. It's hard to wrap your head around, right? Billions of miles of genetic code are packed inside you at this very moment. It's a powerful reminder that even on a microscopic level, we are connected to the vastness of the universe. Speaking of our amazing bodies, let's talk about goosebumps. You know that prickly feeling you get when you're cold or a little spooked? That's actually a fascinating evolutionary leftover. Each little bump is caused by a tiny muscle contracting at the base of a hair follicle. For our ancient, much hairier ancestors, this action would fluff up their fur, creating a layer of insulation to trap body heat. Today, we don't have enough body hair for it to make a real difference, but our bodies still remember the trick. It's like your skin is trying to put on a fuzzy coat that it just doesn't have anymore. From our own bodies to the depths of the ocean, the world is full of surprises. We often hear about coral reefs bleaching because of rising ocean temperatures. It's a serious problem, turning vibrant underwater cities into ghostly white graveyards. But did you know that heat isn't the only culprit? Recent studies have shown that noise pollution can also cause coral to bleach. The constant drone from ships, sonar, and underwater construction creates intense stress for these delicate animals, causing them to expel the colorful algae they depend on for life. It's a stark reminder that our actions, both seen and unseen, have far-reaching consequences for the natural world. Now, let's talk about color. What do you think is the rarest color in nature? If you guessed blue, you're right. Think about it. Blue flowers exist, but they are far outnumbered by reds, yellows, and whites. And what about blue animals? From the brilliant blue morpho butterfly to the vibrant feathers of a macaw, that stunning blue isn't what it seems. Most of these creatures don't actually produce a blue pigment. Instead, they've mastered the physics of light. Their scales or feathers have microscopic structures that scatter light in such a way that only the blue wavelengths are reflected back to our eyes. It's a beautiful illusion, a trick of the light that creates some of the most breathtaking sights on Earth. Nature's ingenuity doesn't stop there. Have you ever considered what a plant thinks when you're eating a salad? Well, it might not think, but it definitely knows it's being eaten. When a leaf is chewed or torn, plants can detect the damage almost instantly. Within seconds, they can trigger a defense mechanism, sending chemical signals throughout their system. These signals can cause the plant to produce and release toxins or bitter-tasting compounds to deter the attacker. So, the next time you crunch into a piece of lettuce, remember you're engaging in a tiny, ancient battle between predator and prey. Let's clear up a common misconception. When you think of a raindrop, what shape comes to mind? Probably a teardrop, right? That classic, pointed-top, rounded-bottom shape we see in cartoons and drawings. The reality is quite different. As a drop of water falls through the atmosphere, air pressure flattens its bottom while the surface tension on top keeps it curved. The result? A shape that looks much more like a tiny hamburger bun or a kidney bean. Small drops are almost perfectly spherical, but larger ones get that distinct flattened look as they fall. Science can sometimes venture into territory that sounds like it's straight out of a science fiction movie. Case in point, back in the 1990s, scientists successfully grew a human ear on the back of a mouse. It wasn't a functioning ear, but a cartilage structure shaped like one. They used cow cartilage cells seeded onto a biodegradable ear-shaped mold and then implanted it under the skin of a special mouse with a suppressed immune system. The goal was to explore ways to grow new cartilage for people who needed reconstructive surgery. It was a groundbreaking, if slightly unsettling, step forward in tissue engineering. Here's a fact that connects us all on a fundamental, invisible level. Every single time your heart beats, it generates a tiny electrical impulse. This impulse creates a corresponding magnetic field. While incredibly faint, this magnetocardiogram is measurable with highly sensitive instruments. It means that with every beat of your heart, you are subtly, almost imperceptibly, altering the magnetic field of the entire planet. It's a beautiful thought, isn't it? Billions of hearts beating in unison, each contributing a tiny, rhythmic pulse to the Earth's magnetic symphony. The world of materials science is just as fascinating. Imagine a piece of metal that could heal itself, just like our skin heals from a cut. It sounds impossible, but some metals and alloys actually possess this ability. When subjected to stress, tiny microcracks can form within the material. However, under the right conditions of tension and temperature, the atoms within the metal can rearrange themselves, migrating to fill in these cracks and essentially repair the damage. This phenomenon, known as self-healing, could revolutionize engineering, leading to everything from longer-lasting jet engines to bridges that can mend their own structural flaws. We now have evidence that the brain continues to function for several minutes after the heart has stopped beating. In these final moments, brain activity can surge in a pattern that is associated with consciousness, memory recall, and dreaming. It suggests that the phenomenon of a life flashing before your eyes might be a real neurological event. The brain, in its last act, appears to be replaying a lifetime of fading memories. It's a humbling and awe-inspiring glimpse into the final frontier of human consciousness. Have you ever heard of a lake that turns animals to stone? It sounds like something out of a myth, but in Tanzania, Lake Natron is so rich in minerals that it literally mummifies any creature that dies in its waters. It's a real-life Medusa's lair, preserving birds and bats in eerie, stone-like statues. Nature is wild, right? But the weirdness doesn't stop there. Think about how we experience the world. We rely on our ears to hear, but what if you didn't have them? Spiders have figured it out. Their webs act like gigantic, intricate ears. By sensing the tiniest vibrations traveling along the silk threads, they can pinpoint the exact location of their next meal or an approaching threat. It's like having a superpower woven from silk. They're not just catching flies. They're listening to the world around them in a way we can barely imagine. And speaking of hidden senses, did you know you have a second brain? It's not in your head, but in your stomach. This enteric nervous system contains over 100 million neurons, more than in your spinal cord. It manages your digestion all on its own, making complex decisions without you even thinking about it. That gut feeling you sometimes get? It might be your stomach brain chiming in with its own form of intelligence. So next time your stomach rumbles, remember, it's not just hungry, it's thinking. Now, let's talk about mind-boggling numbers. If you've ever played a game of chess, you know it's complex. But how complex? Well, scientists estimate that there are more possible unique chess games than there are atoms in the entire observable universe. Let that sink in. Every game of chess you've ever played or watched is just one path through an almost infinite galaxy of possibilities. The universe inside that 64-square board is bigger than the one outside. From cosmic numbers to cosmic power, humans are getting pretty good at playing God. Scientists have figured out how to create and control lightning, not with a kite and a key, but with high-powered lasers. By firing intense laser beams into the air, they can create a path of plasma that guides electrical discharges. It's a real-life lightning rod from the future, with the potential to protect buildings and airports from lightning strikes. We're literally telling lightning where to go. Now, let's go from the loudest bang in nature to the most profound silence. Imagine a room so quiet you can hear the blood flowing through your veins. This isn't science fiction. It's the anechoic chamber at Microsoft's headquarters. It's officially the quietest place on Earth. The silence is so absolute, so deep, that your own body becomes the loudest thing in the room. You can hear your heart beating, your lungs breathing, and even the gurgling of your stomach. People can't stand it for more than an hour. The lack of sound becomes overwhelming. It proves that we're never truly in silence, because we are, ourselves, a source of constant sound. Let's move from the stillness of silence to one of nature's most beautiful transformations. The butterfly. We all learned that a caterpillar builds a chrysalis and emerges as a butterfly, but the part they usually leave out is gooey. Inside that chrysalis, the caterpillar doesn't just sprout wings. It completely dissolves into a soupy liquid. It breaks itself down to its most basic cellular level, a sort of primordial goo. From that liquid, a brand new creature, the butterfly, is constructed. It's not a transformation, it's a complete and total rebirth from its own biological soup. Life, it seems, finds a way to exist in the most extreme places. You might think a nuclear reactor would be the last place you'd find life, but you'd be wrong. Scientists were stunned to discover bacteria not just surviving, but thriving inside the cooling pools of active nuclear reactors. These incredible microbes have adapted to live in an environment with radiation levels that would be instantly lethal to almost any other life form. They literally eat radiation for breakfast. It completely redefines our understanding of where life can exist. Our own bodies also have incredible hidden abilities. Have you ever noticed that a cut or scrape seems to heal faster the second time you injure the same spot? It's not your imagination. Your body has a form of immune memory in the skin. Your blood and skin cells remember the previous injury. When the same spot is damaged again, the local immune response is faster and more efficient. Your body learns from its past wounds to heal itself better in the future. It's like your skin is keeping a record of every bump and scrape. You might imagine it just floating around, but it does something much stranger. A perfect, silent, blue ball of fire. It's less aggressive, burns at a lower temperature, and looks completely alien. Scientists have observed that at night, trees actually relax. Their branches droop slightly, almost like they're letting out a sigh after a long day of soaking up the sun. It's a subtle change, just a few inches, but it's a real nightly rhythm. So next time you're out for an evening walk, remember that the forest around you is quietly settling down for a good night's rest. Now, let's talk about a superpower that exists right here on Earth. We use maps and GPS to get around. But what about birds? How do they pull off those incredible continent-spanning migrations without getting lost? The answer is astounding. They can literally see the Earth's magnetic field. It's not like they have a tiny compass in their heads. Instead, a special protein in their eyes allows them to perceive the magnetic field as glowing lines or patterns superimposed on their vision. Imagine having a built-in navigation system that looks like a light show, guiding you perfectly across thousands of miles. It's a sensory experience we can barely even fathom. All right, let's get a little more personal. The word virus usually makes us think of getting sick, right? We spend a lot of time and effort trying to avoid them. But what if I told you that some viruses are actually your allies? That's right, some viruses are beneficial. They act like your body's personal security guards. They can infect and take up residence in your system, and by doing so, they protect you from other, much deadlier infections. It's a fascinating biological arms race happening inside you, where good viruses help keep the bad ones at bay. So, not all viruses are villains. Some are unsung heroes. Speaking of our bodies, let's talk about human strength, but on a micro scale. How strong do you think a single strand of your hair is? You might be surprised. A single, healthy human hair can support a weight of up to 100 grams without breaking. To put that in perspective, that's about the weight of a bar of chocolate. If you were to braid a rope from all the hair on an average person's head, it could theoretically lift a couple of small elephants. It's an incredible testament to the strength of keratin, the protein that makes up our hair. Here's another one about our unique human features: fingerprints. We think of them as permanent, unchangeable identifiers. For the most part, they are, but they aren't completely indestructible. Severe, deep burns that damage the dermal layer of the skin can permanently alter or even erase your fingerprint patterns. Similarly, certain types of chemotherapy can cause the skin on the fingertips to peel, temporarily changing the prints. It's a reminder that even things we consider constant can be affected by extreme circumstances. Have you ever stepped outside right after it rains and noticed that fresh, earthy smell? It's one of the most distinct and pleasant scents in nature. But what is it? It's not the water itself. That smell, known as petrichor, is largely caused by a compound called geosmin. Geosmin is produced by a type of bacteria in the soil. When raindrops hit the ground, they trap tiny air bubbles. These bubbles then shoot upwards and burst out of the droplet, releasing a fine spray of aerosols that carry the geosmin into the air for us to smell. So, that lovely post-rain aroma is basically the scent of soil bacteria saying, "Hello." Nature's wonders just keep getting weirder. Let's talk about motherhood in the animal kingdom. Some species of frogs have a birthing process that sounds like something out of a sci-fi movie. Instead of laying eggs in water, the female Suriname toad, for example, carries her eggs on her back. The skin on her back actually grows over the eggs, embedding them into a honeycomb-like structure. The tadpoles develop right there, inside their mother's skin, and eventually, fully formed little froglets emerge, literally popping out of her back. It's a bizarre but effective way to protect your young. Now for a shocking fact, literally. We harness electricity from power plants, solar panels, and batteries. But did you know that some life forms can produce it all on their own? I'm not just talking about electric eels. There are specific types of bacteria, known as electrogenic bacteria, that can generate electricity as a byproduct of their metabolism. Scientists are actually experimenting with these electric bacteria, using them to create microbial fuel cells that can power tiny electronic circuits. Imagine a future where your small devices could be powered by a colony of bacteria. The potential is electrifying. Let's zoom out from the microscopic to the massive. Look at a map of the world, and the Sahara Desert stands out as a vast, sandy expanse. But it wasn't always that way. If you could travel back in time about 10,000 years, you wouldn't find a desert. You'd find a lush, green landscape. The Sahara was once a tropical rainforest, dotted with lakes and rivers, teeming with life like hippos and giraffes. Climate shifts caused by changes in the Earth's orbit transformed this paradise into the arid desert we know today. It's a powerful reminder of how dramatically our planet can change over time. Your eyes are never truly still. Even when you're staring intently at something, or when you have your eyes shut, they are constantly making tiny, involuntary movements called microsaccades. It's like a subtle, constant dance. Scientists believe these movements are crucial for preventing your vision from fading out. By constantly shifting, your eyes ensure that the light-detecting cells in your retina keep receiving new stimuli. So even in stillness, there is constant motion. A banana. Delicious, right? Packed with potassium. But did you know that because of a naturally occurring isotope called potassium-40, bananas are slightly radioactive? Now, before you start throwing out your fruit basket, don't worry. The level is so incredibly low that you'd need to eat about 10 million bananas in one sitting to get a noticeable dose. So, your morning smoothie is perfectly safe, but it's a cool party trick to know that you're eating a tiny, tiny bit of radiation. From the kitchen to the backyard, let's talk about ants. We see them as tiny, hard-working insects, but their world is as complex and sometimes as ruthless as our own. There's a species of ant, often called the slave-making ant, that literally conducts raids on the nests of other ant species. They don't just steal food, they steal the pupae, the ant babies. They carry them back to their own nest, and when these captured ants hatch, they spend their entire lives working for their captors, foraging for food, and caring for the slave-makers' young. It's a full-blown insect empire built on forced labor happening right under our feet. Speaking of things happening under our feet, let's talk about time itself. According to Einstein's theory of relativity, gravity can actually warp time. This effect is happening to you right now. Because your head is slightly farther from the Earth's center of gravity than your feet, time is passing just a fraction of a second faster for your head than it is for your feet. The difference is infinitesimally small, so you'll never notice it. But it's a constant reminder that the universe is far stranger than we can perceive. The same principle is why GPS satellites, which are far from Earth's gravity, need their clocks constantly adjusted to stay accurate. Mind-bending, isn't it? Now for something a little more down to earth, literally. Think about a glass of water. When you put it in the freezer, it turns to ice. Simple enough. But what's happening on a molecular level is pretty unique. Unlike almost every other substance, which contracts and becomes denser when it freezes, water expands. This is because water molecules arrange themselves into a rigid, crystalline structure that takes up more space than their liquid form. This is why ice floats, which is crucial for life on Earth. If ice sank, lakes and oceans would freeze from the bottom up, killing off all aquatic life. So, This strange property of water is one of the key reasons our planet is so vibrant. Let's move from the physical world to the world inside our own minds, our dreams. Have you ever had a strange dream that just felt off? Well, sometimes your subconscious might be trying to tell you something important about your health. There are numerous documented cases where people have had recurring dreams about things like being unable to breathe or having a strange growth, only to later be diagnosed with a real physical illness in that exact area. The theory is that your dreaming brain is incredibly attuned to your body's subtle signals, picking up on issues long before your conscious mind does. It's like an early warning system built into our sleep cycle. So, if you keep having a weird dream, it might be worth paying a little closer attention to your body. From the subconscious to the clever, let's talk about crows. You might have heard that a group of crows is called a murder. It sounds ominous, but the origin of the term is likely tied to old folklore and superstitions about these dark, intelligent birds. What's truly fascinating, though, is how crows interact with their dead. When a crow finds a deceased member of its flock, it will often call out, gathering other crows to the site. They don't just fly away. They observe, sometimes for a long time. Scientists believe this isn't just curiosity. They might be trying to understand the cause of death to identify potential threats in the area. They hold what we can only describe as funerals, mourning their lost companions and learning from the tragedy. It shows a level of social intelligence and emotional depth that is truly remarkable. Let's talk about the engine that keeps us all going, the human heart. This incredible organ starts beating about 4 weeks after conception and doesn't stop until the end of our lives. If you live to be around 80 years old, your heart will have beaten over 2.5 billion times. That's billion with a B. It pumps about 2,000 gallons of blood through 60,000 miles of blood vessels every single day. It works tirelessly, without us even having to think about it. The sheer scale of its lifelong work is almost impossible to comprehend. So, take a moment to appreciate this amazing biological machine inside your chest. Now, from our hearts to the heart of the ocean, let's talk about one of nature's most wonderful role reversals. When you think of birth, you almost universally think of a female. But in the enchanting world of seahorses, it's the dad who does the heavy lifting. The female seahorse deposits her eggs into a special brood pouch on the male's abdomen. He then fertilizes the eggs inside the pouch and carries them for several weeks, providing oxygen and nutrients. When the time comes, he goes into labor, contracting his muscles to shoot out hundreds of tiny, fully formed baby seahorses. It's one of the most incredible examples of paternal care in the entire animal kingdom, completely flipping our expectations of parenthood on their head. Back to the world of human invention. Imagine a phone screen that could heal its own cracks. It sounds like science fiction, but it's closer to reality than you think. Researchers in Japan have developed a special type of glass, a polymer, that can actually repair its own cracks. All you have to do is press the broken pieces together and expose them to sunlight. The light triggers a chemical reaction that fuses the material back together, making it as good as new. Imagine a future with self-healing car windshields, windows, and smartphone screens. This technology could revolutionize how we build and maintain countless items in our daily lives, making things more durable and sustainable. We often think of rats as pests, but they are highly intelligent and social creatures. So intelligent, in fact, that scientists have taught them how to drive. No, I'm not kidding. Researchers at the University of Richmond built tiny cars for rats. With a steering mechanism they could operate with their paws. They learned that driving wasn't just a task for them, it was genuinely rewarding. The rats that learned to drive showed lower levels of stress hormones, suggesting they found the activity relaxing and fun. It turns out that having control over your environment and learning a new skill is just as satisfying for a rat as it is for a human. Who knew? Have you ever wondered why the veins on your wrist look blue? It's a common misconception that your blood is actually blue inside your body and only turns red when it hits the air. But the truth is far more interesting and has everything to do with light. Your blood is always red, thanks to hemoglobin. The blue appearance is just a trick of the light. When light hits your skin, different colors or wavelengths penetrate to different depths. Red light goes deeper, getting absorbed by the hemoglobin in your veins, Blue light, however, doesn't penetrate as far and gets scattered back to your eyes more easily. So, what you're seeing isn't blue blood, but the absence of red light. It's an optical illusion happening right under your skin. Speaking of perception, have you ever tried to swat a fly and missed, even though you felt super fast? Well, it might not be your reflexes that are slow, but the fly's perception of time that's incredibly fast. For some insects, like flies and dragonflies, the world moves in slow motion. They process visual information at a much higher rate than we do. This is called their flicker fusion frequency. Think of it like a movie's frame rate. A low frame rate looks choppy, while a high frame rate looks smooth and detailed. Humans see about 60 frames per second, but a fly can see up to 250. This means they can see your hand coming down, process its trajectory, and plan an escape route all in the time it takes you to blink. To them, we're living life on easy mode. Now, let's dive into the microscopic world, which is even weirder. We all know about viruses, these tiny agents that can make us sick. But did you know that a virus can get its own virus? It sounds like a plot from a sci-fi movie, but it's real. These are called virophages, which literally means virus eaters. A virophage is a smaller virus that can only replicate inside a cell that's already been infected by a larger virus. It essentially hijacks the giant virus's replication machinery for its own benefit, sometimes even weakening the original virus in the process. It's a parasite of a parasite, a Russian doll of infections, showing just how complex and competitive life is, even at the smallest scales. From the microscopic to the emotional, let's talk about something we can all relate to. Love. Have you ever found yourself getting lost in someone's eyes? There's a fascinating biological phenomenon that happens when you stare at someone you love or feel a strong connection with. Your pupils, the black circles in the center of your eyes, will automatically start to mirror theirs. This is a subconscious form of social mimicry and empathy. If their pupils dilate from excitement or affection, yours will too. It's a subtle, nonverbal way our bodies sync up, creating a deeper sense of connection and understanding. It's a genuine, physical sign that you're on the same wavelength. So next time you're with someone special, pay attention. Your eyes might be having a silent conversation of their own. Let's move on to a sound that can divide a room. Cracking your knuckles. Some people love it, others can't stand it. For years, people believed it was the sound of bones grinding or joints popping out of place, warning that it would lead to arthritis. But science has debunked that myth. The satisfying pop has nothing to do with your bones. Your joints are lubricated by something called synovial fluid, which contains dissolved gases. When you stretch or bend your finger, you're pulling the joint apart. This creates a low-pressure area, causing the gases to rapidly form a bubble. The sound you hear is that bubble collapsing almost instantly. It's a tiny, harmless implosion. So go ahead and crack away, guilt-free. Ready to have your mind bent a little? Everything you see, touch, and interact with is made of matter. But for every particle of matter, physicists believe there's a corresponding antiparticle, creating something called antimatter. It's the perfect mirror twin of regular matter, but with an opposite charge. An anti-electron, called a positron, has a positive charge instead of a negative one. Now, here's the crazy part. If a particle of matter ever touches its antimatter counterpart, they annihilate each other in a flash of pure energy. Everything you are, this desk, the planet, if it were to touch its antimatter version, both would simply vanish into a burst of light. Scientists have created tiny amounts of antimatter in labs, but it's incredibly difficult to store because it can't touch anything. It's a humbling reminder that our reality is just one half of a cosmic equation. From the theoretical to the downright powerful, let's meet an animal that packs a punch unlike any other: the mantis shrimp. This small, colorful crustacean might look like a beautiful piece of underwater art, but it's one of the fiercest predators in the ocean. Certain species of mantis shrimp have club-like appendages that they can use to punch their prey, and this isn't just any punch. They can accelerate these clubs at over 10,000 times the force of gravity, reaching speeds of 50 miles per hour in a fraction of a second. This strike is so fast that it actually boils the water around it, creating a shockwave bubble that delivers a second, devastating blow. It's a 1-2 punch that can shatter crab shells, break aquarium glass, and stun prey in an instant. It's like having a tiny underwater superhero. Now, let's turn our attention back to our own bodies. We often look at our skin for clues about our health, but there's another, more telling indicator right in your mouth: your tongue. In many forms of traditional medicine, and increasingly in modern practice, the tongue is considered a map of your internal health. Its color, texture, and coating can reveal a lot about what's going on inside. A healthy tongue is typically pink with a light white coating. But a pale tongue might suggest a nutrient deficiency. A bright red one could indicate a fever or inflammation, and a purplish tongue might signal issues with circulation. It's a quick daily health checkup you can do yourself. So, the next time you brush your teeth, take a moment to look at your tongue. It might be trying to tell you something important. Let's scale up from our bodies to the entire planet. We take Earth's magnetic field for granted. It protects us from solar radiation and gives us our north and south poles for navigation. But did you know that these poles aren't stationary? They are constantly wandering. The magnetic North Pole, for example, has been drifting away from Canada and towards Siberia at an accelerating pace. But the really big news is that the entire magnetic field can flip. This is called a geomagnetic reversal, where north becomes south and south becomes north. It's happened many times throughout Earth's history, and evidence suggests we might be overdue for another one. Scientists believe it could happen any century now. While it wouldn't be an instant catastrophe, it could cause major disruptions to our power grids and satellite communications. It's a slow-motion geological event with huge implications. For most animals, it takes two to tango, a male and a female. But some species have decided to skip that step entirely. Certain types of lizards, like the New Mexico whiptail, are composed entirely of females. So how do they reproduce? Through a process called parthenogenesis. The female lizard can produce eggs that develop into offspring without any need for fertilization from a male. The babies are essentially perfect genetic clones of their mother. It's pure cloning by design, a natural phenomenon that allows these species to reproduce rapidly and efficiently. It's a powerful reminder that life is incredibly inventive, and that the rules we think are set in stone are often meant to be broken. Have you ever wondered just how powerful nature really is? Picture this. A single, electrifying lightning bolt streaks across the sky. Now imagine that same bolt containing enough raw energy to toast not one, not 1,000, but 100,000 slices of bread. That's an entire city's worth of breakfast, all in one flash. Let's start with something inside your own mind: the placebo effect. We've all heard of it, right? You take a sugar pill, believe it's medicine, and you start to feel better. But here's the twist that scientists are still trying to fully understand. The placebo effect can work even when you know it's a fake. In some studies, participants were told they were receiving a placebo, a pill with no active ingredients, and yet many still reported a noticeable improvement in their symptoms. This tells us something profound about the power of our own minds and the incredible connection between belief and biology. Our brains can literally will us to feel better, just by going through the ritual of treatment. It's a testament to the fact that we are far more powerful than we often give ourselves credit for. Now, let's travel back in time, way back. Imagine the Ice Age. Vast glaciers cover the land, and woolly mammoths roam the frozen tundra. In this ancient world, a tiny Arctic ground squirrel buried some seeds for a later meal, a meal it never got to eat. Fast forward 32,000 years. Scientists in Siberia are digging through the permafrost and discover this ancient squirrel's burrow. Inside, they find these perfectly preserved seeds. Out of sheer curiosity and scientific hope, they decide to try and germinate them. And incredibly, it worked. They successfully revived a 32,000-year-old plant, bringing a species back from an era when humans were still painting on cave walls. This isn't science fiction. It's a real-life time capsule proving that life can be incredibly resilient, waiting patiently under layers of ice for its moment to bloom again. It makes you wonder what other ancient secrets are lying frozen, waiting to be discovered. Okay, take a deep breath with me. Inhale and exhale. Did you feel that? You just participated in a fascinating biological phenomenon. Every time you inhale, your heartbeat slightly speeds up, and every time you exhale, it slows down. This is called respiratory sinus arrhythmia, and it's a sign of a healthy heart and nervous system. It's your body's way of optimizing its efficiency. When you breathe in, you're bringing fresh oxygen into your lungs, so your heart speeds up to quickly pump that oxygenated blood to the rest of your body. When you breathe out, there's less need for that rapid delivery, so your heart takes a tiny break. It's a beautiful, subtle rhythm happening inside you every second of every day, a constant dance between your lungs and your heart. Speaking of dancing, have you ever seen sound? I don't mean looking at a speaker vibrate, I mean actually watching sound create art. This is the incredible field of cymatics. When you place sand, water, or other fine particles on a surface and then vibrate that surface with a specific sound frequency, something magical happens. The particles don't just bounce around randomly, they arrange themselves into stunningly perfect and intricate geometric patterns. Symmetrical mandalas, complex honeycombs, and beautiful floral shapes appear out of nowhere, created purely by the vibration of sound waves. It's a visual representation of harmony, showing us that sound isn't just something we hear. It's a powerful, organizing force that can shape the physical world in beautiful ways. It's like watching the hidden architecture of the universe reveal itself right before your eyes. Now, for something a little more personal. Did you know that your emotions have a scent? It's true. The chemical composition of your sweat changes depending on how you're feeling. When you're afraid, your body releases a different cocktail of chemicals than when you're happy. And while our human sense of smell might not be sharp enough to consciously detect it, other animals can, and studies suggest we might subconsciously react to these chemosignals from others. The sweat produced during a scary movie smells distinctly different from the sweat produced after a good workout. It's a subtle, invisible layer of communication, broadcasting our inner state to the world around us whether we realize it or not. So next time you feel a certain vibe from someone, it might just be your ancient instincts picking up on the scent of their emotions. We've seen how sound can shape sand, but can it also shape life? The answer seems to be yes. For decades, researchers and even amateur gardeners have explored the idea of sonic bloom, the theory that plants grow better when exposed to certain types of music or specific sound frequencies. Studies have shown that certain vibrations can stimulate a plant's cells, encouraging them to take in more nutrients and grow faster and stronger. It's not about the plants enjoying Beethoven over rock and roll, it's about the physical effect of the sound waves. Frequencies around a certain range seem to mimic natural beneficial vibrations, essentially tricking the plant into thinking it's in a more vibrant, growth-friendly environment. So, next time you're tending to your houseplants, maybe hum them a little tune. You might be surprised by the results. Let's talk about something shiny. Gold. We know it's valuable, we know it's beautiful, but did you know it's also a master of disguise? Gold is so incredibly malleable and ductile, meaning it can be stretched and flattened, that a single ounce of it can be drawn into a wire over 50 miles long. Even more amazing is that it can be hammered into a sheet so impossibly thin, just a few atoms thick, that it becomes translucent. This is what's known as gold leaf. When it gets this thin, something strange happens to light. The gold sheet absorbs yellow and blue light, but it allows green and other wavelengths to pass right through. So if you hold a sheet of pure gold leaf up to a strong light source, the light that shines through will have a beautiful, ethereal, greenish-blue glow. The same material that makes a solid gold bar allows sunlight to pass right through it. From the beautiful to the incredibly resilient. Let's discuss the cockroach. It's famous for its survivability, but this next fact takes it to a whole new level. A cockroach can live for an entire week without its head. This sounds like something from a horror movie, but it's biologically true. Unlike humans who have a high-pressure circulatory system and need their brains to control breathing, cockroaches are different. They breathe through little holes in their body segments, and their circulatory system is low pressure, so a neck wound would clot without massive blood loss. They don't need their brain to operate their basic functions. So what finally gets them? Thirst. Without a head, a cockroach has no mouth to drink water, and after about a week, it will die of dehydration. It's a creepy but fascinating example of just how differently life can be engineered. The Milky Way galaxy, our home, contains an estimated 100 to 400 billion stars. That number is so vast it's almost impossible to comprehend. Now, consider this. The number of microorganisms, bacteria, fungi, and other tiny life forms living in your gut is even greater. You are an entire galaxy. This bustling ecosystem inside you, known as your gut microbiome, is essential for your health. These tiny organisms help you digest food, produce vital vitamins, and even regulate your immune system and mood. Ever feel like time slows down during a scary moment? Like a near miss in your car or a sudden fall? That's not your imagination. When you're in a high-stress situation, your brain gets a massive shot of adrenaline. This chemical flood actually makes your brain record more memories per second. So, when you look back on that moment, it feels like it lasted much longer than it actually did. It's like your brain switched to high frame rate recording to capture every single detail, just in case you needed it for survival. Pretty cool, right? It's a built-in survival mechanism, turning you into a mini superhero when you need it most. Speaking of natural wonders, let's dive into the ocean. Have you ever heard of the crystal jellyfish? This little guy, Equirria victoria, has a remarkable trick up its sleeve, or rather, its bell. When it's disturbed or touched, it emits a beautiful, eerie green glow. This phenomenon is called bioluminescence. Scientists were so fascinated by this that they studied it intensely. They ended up discovering something called green fluorescent protein, or GFP. This protein is the reason for the glow. Now, this wasn't just a cool party trick. The discovery of GFP revolutionized biology. Scientists can now attach this glowing protein to other proteins within living cells. This lets them literally watch processes happen in real time under a microscope. Like seeing how diseases spread or how cells develop. It's like putting a tiny lantern on the molecules they want to study. And it all started with a jellyfish that glows when you poke it. From the glowing depths of the ocean, let's head to the frosty forests of the north. Imagine freezing solid, like a block of ice, and then just coming back to life when things warm up. Sounds like science fiction, doesn't it? Well, for some species of frogs, like the wood frog, it's just another winter. When the temperatures drop, these incredible amphibians don't just find a cozy place to hide. Their bodies start to produce a natural antifreeze, a high concentration of glucose in their vital organs. This protects their cells from being destroyed by ice crystals. Their heart stops beating, they stop breathing, and for all intents and purposes, they are frozen solid. You could tap on one, and it would be like a little frog cycle. But then, when spring arrives and the ice thaws, something magical happens. The frog's heart starts beating again, its lungs begin to work, and within a few hours, it's hopping around as if nothing happened, ready to start its year. It's one of nature's most extreme examples of survival. Now, let's come back to something a bit more familiar, the smell of a freshly mowed lawn. For many of us, that scent is the smell of summer, of a lazy Saturday afternoon. It's nostalgic and pleasant. But for the grass, it's a scream of terror. Seriously, that distinct green smell is actually a cocktail of chemical compounds, known as green leaf volatiles, that the plant releases when it's been injured. It's a distress signal. It's the grass's way of shouting, "I'm being attacked! Help!" These chemicals can do a few things. They can signal to other parts of the plant to start defensive measures, and they can even attract predatory insects that might eat whatever is munching on the grass. So, next time you're mowing the lawn and you take a deep breath of that fresh scent, remember you're essentially smelling the grass's panic attack. A little dark, but fascinating. Let's shift gears from biology to physics and talk about something truly mind-bending: time. We think of the speed of light as a constant, the fastest thing in the universe, and in a vacuum, it is. But light doesn't always travel through a vacuum. When it passes through other materials like water or glass, it actually slows down. And here's the crazy part. According to Einstein's theory of relativity, time and speed are intrinsically linked. The faster you move through space, the slower you move through time. Because light is slowing down as it passes through that glass of water on your table, it's also experiencing time differently. In a way, the light is literally bending time as it bends its path through the water. It's a tiny, almost imperceptible effect in our daily lives, but it's a fundamental principle of how our universe works. The universe is so much weirder and more wonderful than we can imagine. All right, let's bring it back to the human body. You've probably seen a crime show where they lift fingerprints from a crime scene. But did you know those prints can reveal more than just who was there? They can tell detectives what you've been eating, or even what substances you've touched. Your fingerprints are not just ridges, they're covered in pores that secrete sweat, and that sweat contains trace metabolic compounds from the things you consume. Using a technique called mass spectrometry, scientists can analyze the residue left behind in a fingerprint and identify molecules from things like coffee, spices, or even specific types of food. So, if you just ate a garlic-heavy pizza, your fingerprints could theoretically give you away. It adds a whole new layer to "you are what you eat." Your body is constantly leaving a chemical diary of your life on everything you touch. Now, for something that combines incredible strength with delicate beauty. Spider silk. We think of steel as the gold standard for strength, right? Well, think again. On a weight-for-weight basis, a strand of spider silk is about 5 times stronger than steel. Let that sink in. If you had a rope of spider silk as thick as a pencil, it would be strong enough to stop a jumbo jet in mid-flight. Not only is it strong, but it's also incredibly elastic and lightweight. Scientists and engineers are desperate to replicate it, because a material with these properties would be revolutionary. We could make bulletproof vests that are lighter and more flexible, stronger and safer medical sutures, artificial ligaments, and so much more. All of this incredible technology is being spun every day by the humble spiders in our gardens. Nature is truly the ultimate engineer. Let's move from incredible external materials to the most complex thing we know of in the universe, the human brain. You're using it right now to process these words. And what's powering this incredible biological computer? You might be surprised. The average adult brain, despite all its complex thoughts, emotions, and calculations, runs on only about 20 watts of power. That's the same amount of electricity needed to power a dim light bulb. An actual supercomputer trying to replicate the brain's processing power would need a whole power plant to run it. Yet, our brain does it all fueled by your last meal. It's a marvel of energy efficiency. So, next time you have a brilliant idea, you can say a dim light bulb just went on in your head, and you'd be scientifically accurate. From the power of our brains to the power of longevity in nature. In the White Mountains of California, there lives a tree that has seen more of human history than any person ever has. It's a Great Basin bristlecone pine, nicknamed Methuselah. This tree is over 4,800 years old. To put that in perspective, this tree was already a seedling when the Great Pyramids of Giza were being built. It was already thousands of years old when the Roman Empire rose and fell. It has stood silently on that mountain, enduring harsh winds and freezing temperatures while entire civilizations have come and gone. It's a living link to a past so distant it's almost mythical. It reminds us of our own fleeting place in the grand timeline of our planet. If the age of that tree is hard to wrap your head around, try this one. Let's go back to your brain. We talked about its power, now let's talk about its complexity. It's estimated that there are about 86 billion neurons in the human brain. Each of those neurons can form thousands of connections, or synapses, with other neurons. The total number of these neural connections is staggering, somewhere in the trillions. It's estimated that there are more potential neural connections in your brain than there are stars in our entire Milky Way galaxy. Our galaxy contains hundreds of billions of stars, but the universe of connections inside your own head is even vaster and more complex. Every thought you have, every memory you store, is a unique pattern of electrical and chemical signals firing across this impossibly intricate network. You have an entire galaxy of potential right between your ears. When you look in the mirror, you see one person, one organism. But biologically, that's not the whole story. Not even close. If you were to count all the cells that make up your body, you'd find something astonishing. Only about 43% of those cells are actually human. The rest, they are a massive community of bacteria, fungi, viruses, and other microbes. This is your microbiome. Most of them live in your gut, but they are all over your skin and throughout your body. And they aren't just freeloaders. You are a walking, talking symbiotic ecosystem. These microbes help you digest food, produce essential vitamins, regulate your immune system, and even influence your mood. So, you are not just an individual, you are a team, a superorganism. The I is actually a we. It's a profound thought that challenges our very idea of self and shows just how interconnected all life on Earth truly is. You know that feeling, right? Your phone isn't even in your pocket, but you swear you just felt it vibrate. Or maybe it's in your hand, and you still feel that phantom buzz. You check it, and nothing. Crickets. That, my friends, is not just you being a little jumpy. It's a real phenomenon known as phantom vibration syndrome. It's your brain playing a little trick on you, interpreting some random sensory input, maybe a muscle twitch or the rustle of your clothes, as the familiar sensation of your phone. It's a testament to how deeply ingrained our tech has become in our lives, and how our brains are constantly trying to make sense of the world, sometimes even creating sensations where there are none. It just goes to show how adaptable, and sometimes a little over-eager, our brains can be. Now, let's talk about speed. You're listening to me speak right now, and maybe you're thinking along with me. But did you know your brain processes information way, way faster than anyone can ever speak? While a fast talker might hit around 150, 200 words per minute, your brain can think at nearly 1,000 words per minute. That's like having a super speedy internal monologue constantly running, evaluating, planning, and creating, all while you're just casually listening to a podcast or having a conversation. This incredible speed is why we can multitask, why we can follow complex arguments, and why sometimes our thoughts feel like they're racing ahead of our ability to articulate them. It's truly astounding to consider the sheer processing power packed into that 3-pound organ. It means there's a whole universe of thought happening in your head that you might not even be consciously aware of. Ever tried to pinpoint the exact moment you fell asleep last night? You close your eyes, you're drifting off, and then, boom, you wake up hours later. You can never truly remember the exact second you transitioned from wakefulness to sleep. Why? Because your consciousness simply fades without a trace. It's not like flicking a switch where you can mark the on or off position. Instead, it's a gradual, seamless transition where your awareness simply dissolves. This is a fascinating aspect of our brain's activity, demonstrating the fluid nature of our conscious experience. It's a gentle descent into unconsciousness, a daily reset button that our minds effortlessly press without ever giving us a clear memory of the switch itself. Pretty cool, right? And speaking of memories, let's talk about one of our most beloved mental states: nostalgia. That warm, fuzzy feeling when you recall cherished moments from the past? It might feel like a simple longing, but your brain is actually using nostalgia as a powerful emotional tool. Scientists suggest that nostalgia acts as your brain's way of protecting you from sadness, a chemical time machine that transports you to a happier place. When you're feeling a bit down or overwhelmed, your brain instinctively pulls up these positive memories to boost your mood, remind you of meaningful connections, and restore a sense of purpose. It's not just wistful thinking. It's an active emotional regulation strategy, a natural antidepressant, if you will. So next time you feel a wave of nostalgia, appreciate your brain for giving you that comforting hug from the past. This leads us nicely to another memory marvel: how we recall events. Have you ever noticed that you remember certain intense moments with crystal clarity, while facts and figures tend to blur? That's because people remember emotionally charged events far more clearly and vividly than purely factual ones. Think about where you were during a significant world event or a deeply personal celebration or challenge. The emotions attached to those moments, joy, fear, excitement, sorrow, act like superglue for your memories, strengthening the neural connections and making them much easier to retrieve. This is why storytelling is so powerful. Adding an emotional hook makes information stick. Our brains prioritize emotional significance because, from an evolutionary perspective, highly emotional events often carried greater survival importance. So, if you want something to be remembered, try to connect it to an emotion. Now, let's explore the world of imagination and daydreaming. When you're just zoning out, staring into space, or creating an elaborate fantasy world in your head, what's really happening in your brain? It turns out that when you daydream, your brain lights up the same neural pathways and areas that are used for real, tangible experiences. So, if you're imagining yourself walking on a beach, your brain activates parts responsible for sensory input, spatial awareness, and even motor control, just as if you were actually there. This incredible overlap highlights the power of visualization and imagination. It's not just idle fantasy, it's your brain rehearsing, planning, and exploring possibilities, essentially creating simulated realities that can impact your learning, problem-solving, and even emotional well-being. Daydreaming isn't a waste of time. It's a vital mental exercise. Here's a fun one you can try right now. Flash a big, genuine smile. Even if you're not feeling particularly happy, just the act of smiling can actually trick your brain into feeling happiness. This is known as the facial feedback hypothesis. The muscles you use to smile send signals back to your brain, indicating that you're in a positive state. Your brain then interprets these signals and can actually release mood-boosting neurotransmitters like endorphins and dopamine. It's a powerful two-way street between your facial expressions and your internal emotional state. So, next time you're feeling a bit down, try forcing a smile for a minute or two. You might just surprise yourself with how quickly your mood can shift. It's a simple, free, and incredibly effective way to give yourself a little mental pick-me-up. This next fact about memory is truly mind-boggling and might change how you think about your past. Every time you recall a memory, your brain doesn't just retrieve a perfect, unchanged snapshot. Instead, it actually erases and rewrites that memory each time you access it. Think of it like editing a document every time you open it. You might tweak a detail, add a new piece of information, or even subtly alter the context based on your current feelings or knowledge. This process explains why our memories can sometimes be unreliable, why eyewitness testimonies can differ, and why stories change slightly over time. It's not necessarily malicious, it's just how our brain works to keep our understanding of the world current and coherent. It's a dynamic, ever-evolving library, not a static archive which makes our personal histories unique and constantly under construction. We all know social rejection hurts emotionally, but did you know that humans literally feel physical pain from social rejection? That's right. Studies using fMRI scans have shown that when someone experiences social rejection, like being excluded from a group or experiencing a breakup, the same brain regions that activate when we feel physical pain, such as the dorsal anterior cingulate cortex, also light up. This incredible finding highlights just how fundamental social connection is to our well-being. Our brains are wired for community, and the pain of being ostracized is a powerful evolutionary signal to seek belonging. So, next time someone feels hurt by exclusion, remember it's not just in their head. Their brain is registering it as a form of actual physical pain. It really drives home the importance of kindness and inclusion. You know that feeling when a song just hits different? Well, it's not just in your head. Did you know that music can literally change your heartbeat, your breathing, and even your blood pressure? Think about it. A slow, calming melody can bring your heart rate down, making you feel relaxed, while an upbeat, energetic track can get your pulse racing and fill you with excitement. This isn't just some vague feeling, it's a real physiological response. So, next time you're curating a playlist, remember, you're not just choosing songs. You're actively influencing your body's vital functions. How cool is that? It just goes to show the immense power sound has over us. Now, let's talk about something a bit more serious, but incredibly important for our well-being: connection. In our increasingly digital world, it's easy to feel a bit isolated sometimes. But here's a fact that might make you sit up and pay attention. Loneliness can be as harmful to your body as smoking 15 cigarettes a day. Yes, you heard that right. 15. That's a powerful reminder of just how essential human connection and social interaction are for our physical health, not just our mental state. It's not just about feeling sad. Prolonged loneliness can have tangible, negative impacts on our cardiovascular system, immune function, and overall longevity. This isn't to scare anyone, but to highlight the incredible importance of nurturing our relationships and reaching out. Let's all make an extra effort to connect with loved ones, join a community, or simply spend time with people who make us feel good. Our bodies and our hearts will thank us for it. All right, let's switch gears and talk about dreams. Have you ever woken up from a dream and thought, "Who was that person?" Or, "I swear I've never seen that face before"? Well, here's a wild fact. Your brain can't create new faces. Every single face you see in your dreams is someone you've encountered at some point in your life. It could be someone you passed on the street years ago, a character from a movie, a distant relative, or even a person you saw for just a fleeting second. Your brain stores all these faces, and then, in your dream state, it rearranges and presents them to you. Isn't that absolutely mind-boggling? It means your unconscious mind has a vast, hidden library of faces, far more than you consciously realize. It makes you wonder what other hidden information your brain is storing, doesn't it? Our minds are truly incredible filing cabinets. Moving on to another fascinating aspect of our daily lives, talking to ourselves. We all do it, right? Whether it's mentally rehearsing a conversation, muttering instructions while cooking, or giving ourselves a pep talk in the mirror. But here's the kicker. When you talk to yourself, your brain treats it like a real conversation. It processes the information and internal dialogue almost as if you were speaking to another person. This isn't just random chatter, it's a way your brain organizes thoughts, solves problems, and even manages emotions. Psychologists often encourage positive self-talk for this very reason. It's a powerful tool for self-coaching and building resilience. So, the next time you catch yourself having a little chat, remember that your brain is listening and responding just as it would in any other dialogue. Make sure those conversations are encouraging and supportive. Now, let's delve into the world of intelligence and thinking patterns. Do you ever find yourself overthinking the simplest things? Like, did I turn off the stove? Or, is this email really perfectly worded? If so, you might be in good company. Research suggests that people with higher IQs tend to overthink simple things. It's not necessarily a flaw. Often, it stems from a desire for thoroughness, an ability to see multiple perspectives, and a tendency to analyze potential outcomes. While it can sometimes lead to analysis paralysis, it also means a deeply analytical and critical mind is at work. So, if you're an overthinker, don't beat yourself up. It might just be a sign of your sharp intellect working overtime, trying to make sense of the world in a more comprehensive way. Embrace your thoughtful nature. Here's another profound insight into how our brains operate, often without our conscious awareness. Have you ever felt a sudden urge to do something, only to realize a split second later why you wanted to do it? Well, it turns out your brain decides what to do seconds before you consciously realize it. This phenomenon, often studied in neuroscience, suggests that our conscious awareness is sometimes a bit of a laggy reporter, catching up to decisions already made by our unconscious mind. It's not that we lack free will, but rather that the brain's processing of information and decision-making is a complex, multi-layered process. It's a reminder that a lot of our mental heavy lifting happens behind the scenes, making our conscious experience feel more seamless than it actually is. It's like your brain is a super efficient assistant, getting things ready before you even ask. Let's talk about memory. That tricky, often unreliable, but utterly essential part of our minds. Have you ever noticed how you vividly remember the start of a movie and its dramatic ending, but the middle parts blur into a general impression? It's a common experience because we remember beginnings and endings best. The middle fades first. This is known as the serial position effect in psychology. Whether it's a list, a presentation, or an event, our brains tend to prioritize the information presented at the very beginning and the very end. The middle bits require more effort to recall. This is why a strong introduction and a memorable conclusion are so crucial in communication. It is also why reviewing things right before a test and again at the start can be so effective. Our brains love a good bookend. Now, for a little insight into human honesty and vulnerability. We've all been there. Late at night, tired, maybe a bit run down, and suddenly those filters come down. It's true. People are often more honest when they're tired. Their mental filters weaken. When we're fatigued, our cognitive resources are depleted, making it harder to maintain social masks, censor our thoughts, or craft elaborate untruths. This is often why late-night conversations can feel so much more genuine and revealing. It's not necessarily a bad thing. Sometimes it's when true feelings and thoughts emerge. Just remember to be kind and understanding, both to yourself and others during those moments of weary honesty. It's a glimpse into our authentic selves when our guard is naturally lowered. And speaking of our thoughts, prepare for a number that will blow your mind. The average human has about 70,000 thoughts per day. 70,000. That's an astonishing amount of mental activity. But here's the catch. Most of them are repetitive. We often get stuck in thought loops, replaying scenarios, worrying about the same things, or reiterating familiar opinions. This isn't inherently negative. It's how our brains process information and try to make sense of the world. However, recognizing this can empower us to consciously shift those repetitive thoughts towards more positive and constructive pathways. If you're constantly thinking, your brain is a powerhouse, and you have the ability to direct some of that incredible energy towards things that uplift you. Imagine the potential if even a fraction of those 70,000 thoughts were intentionally focused on growth and positivity. Here's a psychological truth about it. Anxiety makes your brain imagine danger even when none exists. This is a survival mechanism gone awry. Our brains are hardwired to protect us, to scan for threats. But with anxiety, that threat detection system becomes overactive, triggering fight-or-flight responses to situations that are objectively safe. Understanding this can be a powerful first step in managing anxiety. It helps to externalize it, recognizing that it's your brain's alarm system misfiring, rather than an accurate reflection of reality. Learning to soothe that alarm system and remind yourself of your actual safety can make a huge difference. If you ever feel this way, remember to be kind to yourself and maybe talk to someone who can help you navigate those anxious thoughts. Your brain is trying to protect you, but sometimes it just needs a little help distinguishing real threats from imagined ones. Wow, what an incredible journey through the workings of our minds and bodies. Ever walked into a room where someone's really stressed and suddenly felt a little anxious yourself? Or maybe you've been around someone super joyful and found your own mood lifting. That's emotional contagion in action. Our brains are incredibly wired to mimic the emotions of those around us. It's like a subconscious dance where we pick up on cues, facial expressions, body language, tone of voice, and our own emotional state subtly adjusts. This isn't just about empathy. It's a deep-seated neurological process. It shows just how interconnected we really are and how much our environment influences our inner world. Think about it. If you want to feel more positive, surrounding yourself with positive people is one of the best things you can do for your brain. Now, for something a bit more tangible. Did you know your handwriting changes with your mood? It's true. When you're feeling excited or energetic, your writing might be larger, bolder, or more free-flowing. On the flip side, if you're feeling down, tired, or stressed, your handwriting might become smaller, more cramped, or less legible. This isn't some mystical secret. It's a direct reflection of your psychological state impacting your motor control. Your brain sends signals to your hand, and those signals are influenced by your emotional state. It's a subtle yet powerful reminder that our mind and body are constantly in conversation. Next time you're journaling, take a moment to notice how your handwriting reflects your feelings. It's a cool little personal insight. All right, let's talk about those cringeworthy moments we all wish we could forget. You know, that time you tripped in front of everyone or said something totally awkward? Well, here's a twist. Your brain actually stores embarrassing memories more vividly to help you avoid repeating them. Yes, it's painful, but there's a purpose. This isn't your brain being cruel, it's being protective. These vivid, often uncomfortable recollections serve as powerful learning experiences. They activate areas of your brain associated with self-reflection and social awareness, essentially saying, "Hey, remember this? Let's not do that again." It's a mechanism designed for social learning and self-improvement, helping us navigate complex social situations more skillfully in the future. So, while they might make you squirm, those embarrassing moments are actually making you a savvier person. Moving on to a behavior that often gets a bad rap: talking to yourself. If you've ever caught yourself mumbling through a problem or narrating your day, you're in good company. Research suggests that people who talk to themselves often are actually more organized thinkers. It's not a sign of going stir-crazy. It's a powerful cognitive tool. When you vocalize your thoughts, it can help clarify ideas, process information, and even improve memory. It's like an external feedback loop for your brain, helping you structure your thoughts, plan actions, and solve problems more effectively. Think of it as verbalizing your internal monologue. It brings abstract thoughts into concrete form, making them easier to manage. So, next time you're chatting with yourself, give yourself a pat on the back for being such an organized thinker. Here's one that might surprise you. You can't tickle yourself. Go ahead, try it. It just doesn't work, right? The reason is fascinating. Your brain predicts its own movements. When you try to tickle yourself, your cerebellum, the part of your brain responsible for motor control, anticipates the sensation. It knows what's coming, so it essentially cancels out the unexpected, playful element that makes tickling effective when someone else does it. It's all about novelty and surprise. When another person tickles you, your brain can't predict the exact timing or pressure, making the sensation novel and often hilarious. It's a wonderful example of how our brain filters and interprets sensory information, distinguishing between self-generated and externally generated stimuli. Now, for something truly mind-bending, the placebo effect. We've all heard of it, but do you truly grasp its power? The placebo effect can actually change your brain chemistry. Belief becomes biology. This isn't just all in your head in a dismissive way. It's literally your head creating real physiological changes. When you believe a treatment will work, your brain can release its own powerful chemicals, like endorphins or dopamine, which can genuinely alleviate pain, reduce anxiety, or even improve motor function. It highlights the incredible power of our expectations and belief systems. It's a testament to the profound connection between our mind and our body, demonstrating that our thoughts and beliefs can indeed have a tangible, measurable impact on our physical health and well-being. It's a truly empowering concept, reminding us of the innate healing capabilities within us. Next up, a common misconception: multitasking. Many of us pride ourselves on being great multitaskers, but here's the truth: you can't multitask. Your brain doesn't actually process multiple complex tasks simultaneously. Instead, what it does is switch focus very, very fast between tasks. Think of it like a rapid-fire toggle switch. Each time your brain switches from one task to another, checking an email, then going back to a report, then responding to a text, there's a tiny mental cost. This switching cost reduces efficiency, increases errors, and can lead to mental fatigue. While it feels like you're getting a lot done, you're actually taking longer and often performing each task less effectively than if you'd focused on one thing at a time. This insight encourages us to embrace focused attention, which can lead to deeper work and higher quality results. Let's talk about survival for a moment. Have you ever noticed how details from a frightening experience can be etched into your memory with incredible clarity? That's because fear sharpens memory. Your brain prioritizes survival details. When you're in a fearful or high-stress situation, your amygdala, the brain's emotional center, goes into overdrive, signaling the hippocampus to strongly encode these memories. This is an ancient survival mechanism designed to help you remember threats and avoid them in the future. It's why you might remember exactly where you were, what you were wearing, or even the smell of the air during a moment of alarm. It's your brain saying, "This information is critical for your future safety. Commit it to long-term storage." And speaking of how our brain operates, here's a fundamental truth. The human brain runs on patterns. It prefers predictability over chaos. Our brains are constantly looking for connections, sequences, and rhythms in the world around us. This is why we're so good at recognizing faces, anticipating events, and learning new skills. When things are chaotic or unpredictable, our brains work harder to find meaning, which can be exhausting. We thrive on routine and structure because it allows our brains to operate more efficiently, conserving energy. This drive for patterns is fundamental to learning, problem-solving, and making sense of the world. It's why we enjoy stories with clear beginnings and endings, and why familiar routines can be so comforting. Zeigarnik effect. People tend to remember unfinished tasks better than completed ones. Ever started a project, taken a break, and found yourself constantly thinking about it until you can get back to it? That's the Zeigarnik effect at play. Your brain creates a kind of tension or cognitive load around unfinished tasks, keeping them active in your memory until they're completed. Once a task is done, the tension is released, and the memory of it tends to fade more quickly. This effect can be a powerful motivator, a little reminder from your brain to get things done. It also explains why taking short breaks during a long study session can sometimes boost your recall, as the unfinished task stays active in your mind. Ever been told to toughen up, or that crying is a sign of weakness? Well, prepare to have your mind blown. Turns out crying actually releases toxins and stress hormones from your body. That's right, tears aren't just for showing emotion. They're a physical healing mechanism. When you shed tears, you're literally helping your body get rid of chemicals that build up during stress. So, the next time you feel like you need a good cry, remember you're not weak. You're actively engaging in a powerful form of self-care. It's your body's natural way of hitting the reset button. Embrace it. Now, let's talk about something even more mysterious: your subconscious mind. You might think you're in full control of your daily choices, but here's a startling truth. Your subconscious makes up to 95% of your daily decisions. Yes, you heard that right. 95%. Think about that for a second. Most of what you do, how you react, and even what you think is often driven by patterns, beliefs, and experiences stored deep within your subconscious mind. This isn't about giving up control. It's about understanding the incredible power residing beneath the surface. Knowing this can help us understand why we sometimes react in certain ways or make decisions that don't seem entirely logical. It's a huge clue into personal growth, because if we can understand and gently influence our subconscious, imagine the positive changes we could make. All right, shifting gears a bit. Who here loves a good sarcastic comment? If you're quick with a witty, sarcastic retort, you might be smarter than you think. Studies suggest that people who are good at sarcasm tend to have higher emotional intelligence. Why? Because sarcasm requires a nuanced understanding of social cues, tone, and context. You have to understand what someone means versus what they says, and then craft a response that's both clever and appropriate. It's a complex cognitive process that involves recognizing irony and often seeing things from multiple perspectives. So, next time someone throws a sarcastic comment your way, don't just brush it off. Recognize the quick wit and emotional agility behind it. It's a sign of a sharp mind and a keen social observer. Moving on to something a little more empathetic, or maybe even a little creepy, depending on how you look at it. Have you ever winced or felt a phantom ache just by watching someone else get hurt? Like watching a sports injury replay or seeing someone stub their toe really badly? Your brain can actually make you feel pain just by watching someone else experience it. This phenomenon is linked to our mirror neurons, which fire both when we perform an action and when we observe someone else performing that same action. It's a powerful display of empathy, showing just how deeply connected we are to the experiences of others. Our brains are hardwired to process and sometimes even simulate the feelings of those around us, highlighting our innate capacity for compassion. Next up, let's talk about something a bit more whimsical: pareidolia. This is the psychological phenomenon where your brain perceives familiar patterns, especially faces, in random or ambiguous stimuli. Think about seeing a face in a cloud, a rock formation, or even shadows on a wall. Humans are wired to seek faces everywhere, even where there aren't any. This isn't just a quirky trick of the mind, it's an evolutionary adaptation. For our ancestors, quickly recognizing faces or figures in the environment could mean the difference between spotting a predator or a friendly face. So, the next time you see a grumpy face on your coffee cup or a smiling one in your toast, don't worry, you're not imagining things. You're just experiencing a perfectly normal and fascinating aspect of human perception. Now, for a fact that might change the way you think about happiness and reward. We often associate dopamine with the experience of pleasure, right? Like when you eat your favorite food or achieve a goal. But here's the twist. Your brain releases dopamine when you anticipate pleasure, not necessarily when you actually experience it. Think about the excitement before a trip, the delicious smell of food cooking, or the thrill of waiting for a package to arrive. That surge of excitement, that's dopamine. It's the seeking chemical driving us to pursue rewards and goals. This explains why sometimes the chase or the expectation can feel just as good, if not better, than the actual outcome. Understanding this can help us appreciate the journey as much as the destination, and find joy in the anticipation of good things to come. Here's a fun one that touches on language and persuasion. People are more likely to believe statements that rhyme. Why? Because rhythm feels like truth. Our brains tend to perceive rhyming phrases as more coherent, memorable, and thus more believable. This is why advertising jingles and catchy slogans often use rhymes. They stick in our minds and resonate with us on a subconscious level. Think about famous sayings or proverbs. Many of them rhyme or have a strong rhythmic quality. It's a fascinating insight into how the structure of language can subtly influence our perceptions and beliefs. So, next time you're trying to remember something important, try to put a little rhyme in it. It just might help. And for all you chocolate lovers out there, get ready for some good news. The smell of chocolate has been shown to increase brain waves related to relaxation. Yes, just sniffing that delicious aroma can help calm your mind. This isn't just about the taste, it's about the entire sensory experience. The comforting scent of chocolate can trigger positive associations and physiological responses that promote feelings of peace and tranquility. So, next time you're feeling a bit stressed, just a whiff of chocolate might be all you need to take the edge off. It's a delightful little trick your brain plays to bring you a moment of zen. Let's talk about memories. Those tricky things that shape who we are. Here's a profound truth. Memories can transfer emotions but lose details over time. We often keep the feeling, not the exact facts. Think about a powerful experience from your past, whether it was joyful or challenging. You might vividly remember how you felt during that moment, the excitement, the sadness, the fear, but the precise details like what everyone was wearing or the exact words spoken can become blurry or even change over time. Our brains prioritize emotional impact, meaning that the emotional residue of an event sticks with us much longer and more clearly than the factual specifics. This highlights how deeply intertwined our emotions are with our personal narratives and how our feelings shape our perception of the past. If you find yourself saying, "I'm sorry," more often than not, even for things that aren't your fault, you might be experiencing something deeper. People who over-apologize often suffer from anxiety or guilt conditioning. It's not about being genuinely at fault. It's often a subconscious coping mechanism to try and maintain harmony, avoid conflict, or assuage an underlying feeling of guilt or responsibility. It can stem from past experiences or a deep-seated desire to please others. Recognizing this isn't about judgment, it's about self-awareness. If this sounds like you, understanding why you do it can be the first step towards self-compassion and setting healthier boundaries. You're not alone, and it's a sign of a deeply empathetic and considerate nature, even if it sometimes goes a little overboard. Did you know your heartbeat isn't just a simple thump, thump? It's more like a unique symphony. Each beat you feel has a distinct electrical fingerprint, a signature that's yours and yours alone. It's a tiny, personal echo of your life, different from every other person on the planet. Isn't that incredible? We often think we know the world around us, but reality is packed with secrets and wonders that sound like they're straight out of a science fiction movie. Imagine a place so isolated that it's been sealed off from the rest of the world for an astonishing 15 million years. Deep beneath miles of solid ice lies a lake, a body of water that hasn't seen sunlight or felt the touch of our atmosphere for longer than humans have existed. This isn't just a frozen puddle, it's a pristine time capsule. Scientists who have drilled down to sample this ancient water are essentially looking at an ecosystem that has evolved in complete isolation. What kind of life could exist there? What secrets about Earth's history are locked away in its dark, cold depths? It's a powerful reminder that our planet still holds vast, unexplored frontiers, hidden right under our feet, or, in this case, under a massive sheet of ice. Now, let's bring our focus a little closer to home, right inside your own body. You probably think of your bones as the silent, solid framework that holds you up. But what if I told you your bones can sing? It's true, in a way. When your bones are put under stress, whether from exercise or just daily movement, they emit tiny, high-frequency vibrations. These are ultrasonic waves, too high for our ears to hear, but scientists can actually record them with sensitive equipment. They're listening to the song of your skeleton. This phenomenon isn't just a cool party trick. It's part of how our bones remodel and strengthen themselves. They're communicating, responding to the pressures of life by literally vibrating. So the next time you go for a run, remember that there's a silent, ultrasonic concert happening inside you. From the song of our bones, let's journey into the depths of the ocean to explore the dreams of one of its most intelligent inhabitants, the octopus. We know these creatures are masters of camouflage, changing their skin color and texture in the blink of an eye. But what happens when they sleep? Researchers have recorded octopuses while they're dozing and observed something truly fascinating. Their skin continues to flicker and shift through a dazzling array of colors and patterns. Scientists believe this could be the octopus dreaming. Are they reliving a hunt, camouflaging from a predator in their sleep, or communicating in a dream language we can't yet understand? It's a stunning visual display that offers a rare glimpse into the mind of another species, suggesting that the inner world of animals might be far richer and more complex than we ever imagined. Let's move from the biological to the physical. We all know the basic rule. What goes up must come down, thanks to gravity. Water flows downhill, right? Well, not always. Under the right circumstances, water can defy gravity and climb upwards. This incredible phenomenon is called capillary action, or capillary rise. You've actually seen it without realizing it. It's how plants draw water from the soil all the way up to their highest leaves, and it's how a paper towel magically soaks up a spill. In very narrow tubes or spaces, the forces of adhesion, water sticking to the surface, are stronger than the cohesive forces holding the water molecules together. This allows the water to pull itself up, inch by inch, against the constant downward pull of gravity. It's a quiet, everyday miracle that makes much of life on Earth possible. Have you ever stepped outside after a rainstorm and taken a deep breath of that fresh, earthy scent? That smell has a name: petrichor. It's caused by a chemical released from the soil and plants. But here's the amazing part. This scent can trigger powerful memories and emotional responses, not just in us, but in animals too. Brain scans have shown that when animals smell petrichor, their brains react in a way that's strikingly similar to ours. For many species, the smell of rain signals the end of a drought, the promise of fresh water, and the growth of new plants. It's a scent of survival and renewal. This shared, ancient connection to the smell of rain is a beautiful testament to our collective bond with the planet. It's a sensory experience that transcends species, linking all of us to the life-giving cycles of the Earth. Speaking of deep connections, let's talk about emotions. When you feel a strong emotion, joy, sadness, anger, you might think it fades away after a few minutes. But your brain holds on to it for much longer. It creates chemical echoes of every emotion you experience, and these echoes can linger in your system for hours. This is why you might feel a general sense of unease long after a stressful event has passed, or a warm, happy glow that lasts for the rest of the day after hearing good news. Your brain chemistry doesn't just flip a switch, it gradually returns to its baseline. This neurochemical hangover is a physical manifestation of your emotional state, proving that our feelings have a real, measurable, and lasting impact on our biology. They aren't just fleeting thoughts, they are profound physiological events. Now, for something that seems to break the fundamental laws of nature. We're taught that fire needs oxygen to burn, and that water puts out fire. But what if I told you that fire can burn underwater? It's possible, but you need a very special kind of fuel: metal. Certain metals, like magnesium, burn so intensely that they don't need oxygen from the air. When ignited, a magnesium fire can actually rip the oxygen atoms directly out of water molecules, H2O, to fuel its own combustion. The result is a blindingly bright fire that not only survives underwater, but can burn even more fiercely. It's a reaction so powerful that the light it produces is brighter than the sun itself. It's a spectacular and slightly terrifying demonstration of chemistry at its most extreme. Our final wonder takes us back to the quiet, gentle world of plants. We see them as passive, simple organisms, but they are far more aware than we give them credit for. In fact, some plants can recognize their own family. When a plant is growing next to a Yidu sibling, a plant grown from a seed from the same parent, it behaves differently than when it's next to a stranger. Instead of competing fiercely for sunlight and root space, sibling plants will often restrain their growth to share resources. They might grow their leaves to avoid shading their sibling, or keep their roots from encroaching on their neighbor's territory. How do they know? They likely communicate through subtle chemical signals sent through the soil. This incredible discovery shows us that the plant world is a complex social network, full of cooperation, recognition, and perhaps even a form of kinship. Have you ever stopped to think about the world around you? Not just the big, obvious stuff, but the hidden, almost magical forces that are at play every single second. Right now, as you're sitting there, your body is silently broadcasting a signal into the universe. It's not a sound, it's not a thought, it's infrared light. You are constantly emitting invisible heat signatures, a silent, ghostly glow that never, ever stops. It's your personal, invisible fire telling the story of your existence in a language only thermal cameras can understand. Pretty cool, right? Now, how about this? We think of sound as something we hear, something that travels through the air. But did you know sound has the power to defy gravity? It's a real phenomenon called acoustic levitation. By using precisely controlled sound waves, scientists can trap and suspend tiny objects like water droplets or small components in midair. They just float there, held aloft by nothing but the focused power of vibration. Imagine a world where we could move things just by making the right noise. It's not magic, it's physics. Think about your own identity. You probably think of your fingerprint as your most unique feature. But there's something even more intricate and impossible to replicate: the patterns inside your iris. The complex web of ridges, furrows, and colors in your eye is so detailed that it has more unique characteristics than a fingerprint. The odds of two people having the same iris pattern are astronomically low. You are literally carrying a work of art, a unique biological signature that no one else in history has ever had. Let's talk about communication. We send messages across the globe in an instant, but how? The answer lies in something almost impossibly delicate: glass fibers, many of which are thinner than a single strand of your hair. These tiny threads, bundled into massive undersea cables, carry our digital world in the form of light. What's truly mind-boggling is that these pulses of light can travel across entire oceans, thousands of kilometers, without losing a single photon of information. It's like whispering a secret across a continent and having it arrive perfectly intact. When you think about the source of the air we breathe, what comes to mind? Probably the Amazon rainforest, right? The lungs of the earth. Well, what if I told you that's only half the story? The vast, deep ocean produces more oxygen than all the rainforests on the planet combined. The real lungs of our world are microscopic plankton, tiny, floating organisms that, through photosynthesis, pump out the very oxygen that keeps us alive. So, next time you look at the ocean, remember to take a deep breath and say, "Thank you." Let us go deeper into the ocean and talk about an animal that defies our understanding of biology: the jellyfish. It drifts, it pulses, it stings. But it does all of this without a central brain. So how does it coordinate itself? A jellyfish has a decentralized nerve network, a nerve net. This means every part of its body essentially knows what to do on its own, communicating with its neighbors to create a coordinated, flowing movement. It's a creature that operates on pure instinct and local information, a beautiful example of intelligence without a command center. Now, let's bend the rules of reality a little. We all know that heat flows from hot to cold. It's a fundamental law of thermodynamics, right? Well, in the bizarre world of quantum physics, things get weird. For incredibly brief moments, on a subatomic scale, heat can actually flow backward, from a colder object to a hotter one. It's a momentary reversal of the arrow of time, a tiny glitch in the matrix of the universe that shows us just how strange reality truly is at its most fundamental level. What's your favorite color? Whatever it is, I have some news for you about the color white. Technically, it doesn't exist. There is no white wavelength of light. What you perceive as white is actually your brain's clever trick. When all the different wavelengths of the visible spectrum, red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, and violet, hit your eye at the same time, your brain doesn't see a rainbow. It simplifies things, blending all those colors together and presenting you with the clean, simple illusion we call white. Let's get back to the animal kingdom. Bees are amazing navigators, but their secret weapon is something you'd never guess. They can sense electric fields. As they fly through the air, they build up a small positive static charge. Flowers, being grounded, tend to have a negative charge. Bees can detect these faint electrical fields from meters away, using them as invisible beacons to guide them to the flowers that are full of nectar. They are literally navigating the world using a sixth sense we can't even perceive. Some metals, under certain conditions, literally grow whiskers. Over time, tiny, hair-like crystalline filaments can spontaneously sprout from the surface of metals like tin, zinc, and cadmium. These whiskers are incredibly thin but can grow long enough to cause major problems. In fact, they've been responsible for shorting out and destroying satellites and other sophisticated electronic equipment. It's a strange, slow-motion process where solid metal seems to come alive. Let's kick things off with something truly wild. Complete silence. You might think perfect quiet is peaceful, right? But ironically, if you're in a place of absolute, profound silence for an extended period, your brain can actually start to hallucinate voices. It's not because you're going crazy, it's your brain trying to fill the void, creating its own sensory input when there's none coming in from the outside. Pretty wild, huh? It's almost like your brain is saying, okay, if you're not giving me anything, I'll make my own fun. It highlights just how actively your brain is always working to interpret and create your reality. Now, let's talk about something many of us experience. Stress. We all know stress isn't great, but did you know it actually makes you less creative? When you're stressed, your brain shifts into survival mode. It's like hitting the emergency button. Your focus narrows, and your imaginative, free-flowing thought processes get put on the back burner. The brain shuts down imagination because it thinks, right now, we need to deal with this immediate threat, not come up with new ideas for dinner. So, if you're feeling a creative block, maybe it's your brain telling you to take a deep breath and de-stress. It's a powerful reminder that taking care of your mental well-being is not just about feeling good. It's about optimizing your cognitive abilities too. Here's another fascinating tidbit that speaks volumes about our human nature. People tend to remember insults more deeply and vividly than compliments. Ouch, right? This isn't because we're secretly gluttons for punishment, but rather a survival bias. Our brains are wired to pay more attention to potential threats or negative experiences because, historically, those were the things that kept us safe. Remembering what hurt you might help you avoid it in the future. Compliments are nice, but an insult might indicate danger, so the brain flags it for special retention. It's a survival mechanism, but it can definitely make navigating social interactions a bit tricky. Flipping that on its head, let's talk about shy people. You might think being shy is a disadvantage, but it often comes with a secret superpower. Shy individuals tend to be exceptionally good at reading emotions in others. Because they might be less vocal, they often become keen observers. They're processing nonverbal cues, facial expressions, and body language at a higher level, making them incredibly empathetic and insightful. So, if you're on the quieter side, embrace that superpower. You might be picking up on things others completely miss. It's a beautiful example of how diverse personality traits contribute uniquely to our social fabric. Ever wondered why certain colors are used in specific environments? It's not just aesthetics. For instance, the color blue has a remarkable ability to make you feel calm and tranquil. Think of a clear blue sky or the ocean. This soothing effect is why you often see blue used in hospitals or meditation spaces. On the flip side, red raises alertness and can even increase your heart rate. It's a color of passion, urgency, and warning. Think stop signs or emergency vehicles. Our brains have deep, primal connections to colors, influencing our mood and physiology in profound ways. It's a subconscious language we all understand. Now, for something truly mind-bending. During traumatic events, your brain can perceive time as slowing down. This isn't just a feeling. It's your brain actually processing information at an accelerated rate. In moments of extreme fear or danger, your brain switches into hyperfocus, gathering as much data as possible, making seconds feel like minutes. It is a survival mechanism designed to give you more time to react to a threat. Imagine your brain hitting the slow-motion button to give you an edge. Truly incredible. This perception bending illustrates the brain's incredible plasticity and its ability to adapt under pressure. Moving on to how we connect with others. Did you know we bond faster with people who share laughter or fear with us? Think about it. A shared joke creates an instant connection, a moment of mutual joy and vulnerability. Similarly, going through a scary experience together, like a thrilling roller coaster or a suspenseful movie, can forge strong bonds. These intense emotional experiences trigger the release of chemicals like oxytocin, often called the bonding hormone, reinforcing our social connections. It's why shared adventures often lead to lasting friendships. So next time you want to connect with someone, share a laugh or a good scare. And for those of you with big hearts, this next one might resonate deeply. People with strong empathy often feel others' pain physically. It's not just a metaphorical statement. Studies show that empathetic individuals, when witnessing someone else in pain, can activate the same brain regions associated with experiencing physical pain themselves. It's a testament to the incredible power of empathy, but it can also be emotionally draining. If this sounds like you, remember to practice self-care and set boundaries to protect your own well-being. Your capacity to feel deeply is a gift, but it needs nurturing. Here's a fantastic reason to love stories. Your brain treats stories as real experiences. When you're engrossed in a novel, watching a captivating movie, or listening to a compelling narrative, your brain doesn't just process words. It activates the same sensory and motor areas as if you were actually experiencing those events yourself. This is why stories are so powerful. They allow us to live countless lives, learn lessons, and feel emotions without actually having to go through them. It's essentially a neural simulator, giving us virtual experiences that shape our understanding of the world. So keep reading and watching. You're more likely to agree with someone who mirrors your body language. This isn't about being manipulative, it's a subconscious phenomenon. When someone subtly adopts your posture, gestures, or even speech patterns, it creates a sense of rapport and trust. It signals to your brain that this person is like me, fostering a feeling of connection and understanding. We naturally gravitate towards those who seem similar to us. So, if you want to build a better connection, try subtly mirroring the person you're speaking with. It's a fascinating way our brains facilitate social harmony. Isn't the human brain just absolutely incredible? From hallucinating voices in silence to creating deep bonds through shared emotions, it's a marvel of evolution. Understanding these fascinating facts can give us a new appreciation for our own minds and how we interact with the world. Thank you so much for watching today's video. I hope you found these brainstorming facts as intriguing as I did. If you learned something new, please hit that like button, share this video with a friend, and let me know in the comments which brain facts surprised you the most. And, of course, don't forget to subscribe and ring that notification bell so you don't miss out on our next deep dive into the wonders of the world. See you next time.